It's the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely. Hoping you guys had a great weekend, ready to get things going here over the next 2 hours. Wade and I will be discussing sports of local, regional, and national impact. So sit down, relax, and enjoy. Wade, how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Had a little bit of rain in the Nissan Stadium realm on Saturday night, but we gutted through that. A lot of sports going on. It was an action-packed weekend, if nothing else, my friend. So
there you go. Yeah, but you managed to stay dry, right?
No, I did not. As a matter of fact, but did not avoid the rain on Saturday. But we got through it. And
okay.
if you saw me riding my e-bike through the streets of Nashville on Saturday and you look like a drowned rat,
just mind your business, right?
Just mind your business. Yeah, just keep on keeping on. But all in all, it was good. No complaints. And then, nice kind of little Sunday wind down, I guess, if you will. And we're back at it on a Monday. And then you were at the ballpark this weekend, right?
I was at the ballpark this weekend, made the trek down to Truist Park this weekend, and was not a very productive trip. At least we got to listen to the walk-off win in game one of the doubleheader on Saturday after Friday's action between the Braves and the Cardinals was rained out. So we got to listen to the walk-off, but we got to watch the Braves drop a 9-5 decision. Well, we'll be getting into that in the rundown, but trust me, the news wasn't good for the Braves. But it's always nice at the ballpark, and it was cool to hang out down in the Battery for a little bit. Lots of fun, but ran into some folks unexpectedly. But
That's how it goes.
yeah, it really is. It's crazy, man. When you go out of town, you're 4 hours from home. You're not expecting to see anybody, and you're just walking around minding your own business, and somebody screams, "Mo!" It's pretty wild, but it's always good. So hey, if you see me out, say hey. It's nice. Big show today. We will be visiting in hour number 2 with the VOT. Mike Keith gracing us with his presence. As we mentioned, the Titans will be getting started with preseason camp later this week. They're going to be in Nissan Stadium. When, Wade?
Saturday. They got an open practice Saturday, and they just announced earlier today for those real I don't want to say bored individuals, but those curious individuals, the new stadium construction cam is now live. So thanks to T-Rack, who climbed up there and installed the camera personally, I was told, you can now watch the dirt move around because there's a lot of dirt outside of Nissan Stadium at the moment.
Okay, so you just go to the website to see that? Is there a specific website for the stadium, or do you just go to the Titans website for that?
Any and all. NewNissanStadium.com can get you there. Titans and Nissan have shared some social posts today. So it's, like I said, it's borderline, it's kind of like the cameras at the zoo that you can watch. I mean, it's like, who's really watching these 24/7? Maybe nobody, but maybe somebody. And so if you want to see some cranes and, dump trucks moving around, this is your opportunity to do so.
Well, they may not be watching it 24/7, but you might just say, hey, wonder what's going on at the new Nissan Stadium. Well, pull it up. There we go.
Get a firsthand look, right?
Absolutely. But yeah, we'll have Mike Keith in the second hour. In the next segment, we will be joined by Austin Peay baseball coach Roland Fanning. I'm excited to talk to him because Austin Peay had a great season on the diamond this year and continued it into the MLB draft last week. So catching up with him. Again, we'll talk a little Braves. We may talk a little bit more Astros, actually, because fun weekend for them out on the West Coast. So WNBA had their All-Star weekend this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. And, Nashville Soccer Club kind of did what Nashville Soccer is these days, but we'll touch on that as well as the results from the British Open. So, plenty going on. Again, looking forward to getting into all of it. So Stick around. We will be here for the next couple of hours doing just that. And let's go ahead and get started, Wade, I guess, with this weekend's results and today's on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Buckle up, folks. Time for the Monday Rundown. And as always, Monday's Rundown is brought to you by our friends at Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. So give them a call today at 931-388-5831, or you can visit them online at zioneagles.org and schedule your appointment today. Once again, that's Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Friday's Major League Baseball results. The Astros opened up their 3-game series out at Seattle with a 3-0 victory. As we mentioned, the Braves game against St. Louis was postponed due to rain. On Saturday, we got a doubleheader at Truist Park. The Braves and Cardinals split those. Atlanta winning 3-2 and 10 in game 1. St. Louis winning 9-5 in the nightcap. And the Astros with a 4th victory over the Mariners to take sole possession of first place in the AL West. Sunday, getaway day. St. Louis got out with a 6-2 win over Atlanta. The Astros left town falling 6-4 to the Mariners, but still tied for the top spot in the division right now. Sounds action over the weekend. They lost a 12-11 shootout up at Norfolk on Friday. They also were postponed on Saturday, split a doubleheader on Sunday. The Sounds winning 3-2, Norfolk winning 9-1.
WNBA score from the weekend. We mentioned the All-Star game. We got to rethink our Olympic team, Mo, because Team WNBA defeats Team USA 117-109 in that exhibition contest on Saturday. And as we mentioned, Philadelphia Union all over NSC up in the city of brotherly love on Saturday, as it was a rough go for Nashville. Once again, 3-0 was your final, as NSC has now dropped 6 straight in a row after that defeat Saturday night.
Not pretty, not pretty. Today's schedule on the Diamond, it's MTSU Alumni Night at Truist Park, as I sit in Franklin, 4 hours away, but the and Wade as well. Wade's also an alumnus. Cincinnati goes to Atlanta. That's a 6:20 first pitch. You can see it on MLB Network or on Bally Sports South. At 8:40, Houston continues its West Coast swing. They are at Oakland. That's an 8:40 start, and you can see it locally if you're in Houston. Otherwise,
MLB
good
TV.
luck. Yeah. Okay. All right. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly over in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure to check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you today's top story. And Arena Bowl 33 actually did get played, which might be newsworthy.
Yeah, that alone is a little bit of a headline, right?
I think it is. The Arena Football League was actually able to successfully conclude their 2024 schedule or season. So, yeah, kudos to them and to the 8 teams that were able to, again, get to the finish line, because there was conjecture as late as day as to whether or not that Friday game between Albany and Billings would take place at the America Dream 3 million square foot shopping mall in East Rutherford, New Jersey, was the site of Arena Bowl 33. And Billings comes up with a 46-41 victory to win the Arena Football League championship. Billings, which lost to Nashville in the final game of the regular season and had to have a field goal at the buzzer to beat Nashville in the league semifinals. So if you're Nashville, you're feeling pretty good about this outcome, I think.
Yeah, you take away a little head held high type moment if you're Nashville, as you were right there on the cusp, and then Billings obviously goes on to win it all, and you're thinking, man, that a play here, a play there, a field goal that maybe misses at the end, and all of a sudden we could be in this thing. And with Billings winning, it kind of stings. It's one of those kind of bittersweet moments, if nothing else, if you're a Nashville fan.
Sure. Billings receiver Dwayne Brown scored 5 touchdowns. I don't know if that's all 5. It's probably not in a 46-point game, but scored 5 touchdowns in that victory. 9 receptions for 125 yards. That's a pretty good return. 9 catches, 5 for scores. You'll take that.
Yeah, efficiency at its finest from the wideout position. And you're right. When we left Friday, there was still some consternation as to whether or not this game was going to get played. And I didn't get to watch the game on Friday, but kind of keeping tabs of some of the comments coming out. And it was described as, quote, either the coolest thing I've ever seen or the saddest, which, given the venue, kind of is where they were going with that. It makes a little bit of sense. And then even, Ari Wolf, who called the game for CBS Sports Network, said the situation was, quote, unlike anything we've ever seen, which kind of is really what arena football is all about.
It really is. I mean, they are not insulted when you say that, I don't think.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a way, it's kind of like monster trucks and pro wrestling mixed in with the football game in terms of the entertainment kind of factor that goes into it. So the fact they pulled it off is to be celebrated in many regards. And then the fact that it was an entertaining game certainly kind of added to the drama down the stretch.
Okay, so I'm looking at the game story on the Times-Union out of Albany, New York, and not to be confused with the Florida Times-Union out of Jacksonville. But I need to study up on my arena ball scoring, apparently, because Billings led 33-19 in the third quarter. Albany cut that deficit to 33-29 after a rushing touchdown and a successful 4-point conversion on a pass play.
Yeah.
4-point conversion.
I don't know. Is that I wonder if it's kind of like some of the other leagues where, you just move the ball further back.
I guess.
Which I've always thought would be a fascinating way if you could somehow implement that at the higher levels of football. The rarely seen 4-point play to get it back in business.
Rarely, if ever. And it sounds as if that wasn't their first attempt. The writer says, finally, a successful 4-point conversion. And I guess Albany was unsuccessful on the next 4-point conversion after they went up. I'm sorry, after Billings went back up 39-29. Albany tried to get it tied again with a touchdown by a rushing touchdown, and tried to go for a 4-point conversion again and came up short. So it sounds as if Albany was pretty much chasing from the start. Billings got up 3-0 in the first quarter, and then went up 10-7. And again, just sounds like they were pretty much in control throughout this contest. But again, they got it played. And now they get to figure out how to tweak some things or how to fix some things outright and get ready for 2025.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question, Mose. Where do you have Billings on your power rankings for your not so soon power rankings for 2025? Do you have them back already at the number 1 spot?
You're way too early. 2025 power rankings. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where Billings winds up.
I assume you put Billings 1 and Albany 2, and then after that, we'll see where we go.
That's typically the way it shakes out when you do your top 25 at the end of the college football season. And I mean, Billings was, I think, the last undefeated team in regular season play before Nashville went out there and beat them in the final week. So, yeah, maybe it is your Outlaws and everybody else. We shall see.
And then you also wonder, too, if Opry Mills is a location for next year's Arena Bowl at this point. Speaking of look ahead too early, I mean, we got Nashville, we got Jeff Fisher. I mean,
It is the it city.
I don't want to, book everything for these guys, but I mean, hey, it's the it city. Yeah. I mean, it's
Everybody wants to be in Nashville, right?
There. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could go to the water park straight from leaving the Arena Bowl inside Opryland right there if you wanted to potentially. I'm giving these away for free. That one is on the house.
No charge. Huh?
I don't want any financial compensation for that. That one's on the house.
Let's take a break from the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we will be joined by Austin Peay baseball coach Roland Fanning. So stick with us after the break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
By the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we are joined now by Austin Peay baseball coach Roland Fanning. Coach Fanning and the Governors coming off of a 35-21 season up in Clarksville, an Atlantic Sun regular season championship, and quite an impressive showing in last week's Major League Baseball draft. Coach Fanning, appreciate you taking some time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm fired up. I'm first time on the show. Got to get this happening more often up here in Gov's country. Come on.
Hey, come on. Yeah. Well, again, 4 guys going in the draft the other day. I mean, that's kind of eye-catching. I don't think that has ever happened at Austin Peay. Certainly not since they've gone to the 20-round format of the draft. And that was just kind of eye-catching. But before we get to that, just take us through your second season as baseball coach up there. You guys did some pretty stellar things over the course of this season.
Yeah, that's a long answer to a short question coming for you, but we had a phenomenal year. Year two was we fell a little short at the end, but it was from the student athlete perspective, we again had another team GPA of above a 3.0. We had the student athlete of the year, we had the player of the year, we had the defensive player of the year. All 9 offensive players in our lineup made all conference. One of our pitchers made all conference. We rewrote the history books in every offensive category here at Austin Peay. Lyle Miller Green was the first consensus All-American, which means every All-American ballot there was, he was on it. He was also the first ever first-team All-American in school history. We had 2 academic All-Americans. On top of that, we did 600-plus community service hours here in Clarksville, Tennessee, as a team. And I think we checked every box on and off the field. And credit to our fan base, our community, our parents, our players, our coaches. We just have a really cool thing going on right here. We kind of found our niche, and you said it. We had 4 guys drafted, which 5's the record in a 40-round draft. We had 4 in a 20-round draft, and we kind of were disappointed. We thought we might have 1 or 2 more in there, but things are going in a very positive direction. I'm super thankful. Trust me, I'm super thankful.
Coach, for everything that you just mentioned, those community service hours kind of jumped out to me. That's no small feat. And I mean, in a community like Clarksville, I would think that's a big deal just in terms of you guys getting out and being visible and building those relationships. And hopefully it's resulting in folks showing up at the park and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have a saying around here, in order to lead, you have to serve, right? And I think having a servant heart and being a group that, we don't do things like 1 or 2 guys. When we show up, it's 35 to 40 of us, whether it be turkeys for troops or there's a shoebox program here for underprivileged kids. We get a boxed up toys. We did some cleanup projects, whether it's ringing the Salvation Army bell, whatever it may be. When people ask us to do things, we kind of come in a group as a team. And, you don't do it for people to ever do anything for you in return, but I think that when our guys are out and they're visible and they're doing things, I think that are impacting others. In return, if you happen to win some ball games, people want to come watch and see these guys, right? And we also broke the attendance record twice this year. I think those little wins in the fall of doing things for other people, and when the tornado hit through, we're out there running around and doing things for people. I just think again, Clarksville's a baseball town, it's a baseball community, and they'll rally around you if you're doing things right. And we got, again, I'm not saying our guys are perfect because they're not, but we're doing a lot of things right in a lot of areas, and people are excited, and that's all we want to do is excite the community and get people involved.
Easy question, but I want you to answer for us anyway, Coach, is having said all that you just said,
yep.
How do you bottle that up, and how do you potentially build off of what was already by and large a really, really successful early stint or early season? How do you kind of capture that momentum and ride that into next year now in your mind?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And it's kind of called the hashtag new standard, right? We were co-champions last year. We want to be the undisputed champions this next year. We won 35 games and won a conference championship. We want to win 40 plus. We want to go to a regional. This is a place that has a history of going to regionals and going to the postseason and winning championships. We won the first championship in 11 years. And to bring that standard back here and what people expect here is huge. I think you see that in the way recruiting's going. We live in a world where a lot of times the mid-major player jumps in the portal to see what they can go get, right? We didn't have anybody jump in the portal. Nobody left us.
Wow.
We're taking care of kids. Our community's taking care of these people. Our kids feel like, they're actually wanted and needed and cared for here by the relationships that are being built across town. I had a kid that just graduated that got a job down at Ajax to start his career. There's just a lot goes into this thing, but I think again, you just figure out what your niche is. You keep taking care of the people, and there's always another level. Now the next thing for us is to get to a regional and get this place back to where it needs to be.
You guys had some success with the non-conference schedule, both in terms of getting big teams on the schedule, but also winning big games.
Yep.
Looking at you, Mississippi State, but also what can you give us a preview? Is that kind of going to be the new standard? Is play anybody, anywhere, anytime for you guys?
Yeah, we have a thing around here called AP squared. Any pitch, any place, the Govs will show up and play. Just tell us when and where. But the challenge with that is that this could sound arrogant. I don't mean it to be, but people won't play us right now. When you're building this thing and people want to get a piece of you, right? We're trying to build it. And, we basically had a Power 5 team. You look at our roster, we got guys from the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC, the West Coast. Our roster has guys from 14 different states and 3 international players. And so, again, when we go and play the Mississippi States or the Auburns, our guys have been there, done that. Like, we're not taking the camera in, taking pictures of their facility. We'll take a picture when we leave if we win or something, right? But, like, we're not going in there like we're we get a play. Like, they have to play us. We go to that thing thinking like we ain't playing them. They got to play us. And that's just our mindset. And we won some games, and I get that. But there's mid-major programs, I'll tell you, that won't play us right now in our state. I'm not going to put that on blast, but that's a real thing. There's some Power 5 schools say, hey, we're gonna wait a minute to play you. That's a real thing. I didn't say it; they did. And so again, it's a little bit making a schedule a little bit of a challenge, but I take it as a compliment because again, we're not necessarily the most fun team to play, and I'm okay with that.
Roland Fanning, who just completed his second season as baseball coach at Austin Peay, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And Coach, you mentioned that you didn't lose anybody in the portal. I want to come back to the portal in just a second because I know you got somebody. But you came off the staff at Oklahoma State to take over this program. Relative to what you expected coming in here, what have you seen? What have you been able to accomplish in this first 2 years?
Yeah, I tell everybody I came into a way better situation than I ever would have thought. People here were hungry. They had a want for baseball. Again, Clarksville, the youth teams, the way they support things out at St. B and some of the other little league programs here in town. It's a baseball community. Again, Austin Peay baseball has won numerous championships here. There's been so much support from whether it be donors, whether it be boosters, whether it be people who own businesses here in town that have helped us. I've been overwhelmed with the amount of support that we've gotten. And because of that, we've been able to do some really nice things around our facility to help with recruiting, to help with getting these players in here. And I think, honestly, we get people coming from all over the country, and whether we fly them in or they drive in, I think when we actually get them to Clarksville, they see the downtown area, how it's booming, right? They go down Wilma Rudolph, and there's places to eat. There's things to do. You're close to Nashville. It's a very patriotic town. I tell people all the time, if you don't like the red, white, and blue, this is not for you, baby. Do not come here. And because it's something we take real seriously here. And I think we catch people off guard a little bit on how nice and clean and patriotic the town is and how much people care about Austin Peay. And it's really helped us get some really good players. I mean, we have players that are turning down the opportunity to maybe go back to a Power 5 because they now can see the roadmap. Maybe you don't play at the Power 5, right? We just had guys that couldn't get on the field at maybe a Power 5 school. They come here, they're players of the year, and now they're playing professional baseball, right? So I think that's kind of our lane, that's our niche, and that's really what's kind of opened the door for future Govs to come here.
That's certainly something you can go out and sell, I would imagine, when you talk about a Lyle Miller Green or a Titan Hayes or the other guys that you had drafted, John Gazdar and who was it? Who was
Tyler
the
Hampu.
one? There we go. So 2 pitchers, a shortstop, and what is Lyle Miller Green at the next level, Coach?
Well, they drafted him as a 2-way, so we actually get to tell everybody we tied the school record for pitchers drafted, right? Because they actually drafted him as a 2-way, and then he called me and he got to the the facility. They actually had a pitcher's glove waiting on him, so he wasn't necessarily ready for that. We kind of thought the pitching was over, but they drafted him as a 2-way player, which is awesome. I think that's something that's also a unique thing that a guy actually can come here and do both. Where a lot of times they tell you you're going to do both, but then they take one away from you really quick, right? I think Lyle Miller Green, I've said this, I've been on record saying this, if he ever makes the big leagues, Walt Disney should grab his story and do a movie over him. The guy's been through a tremendous amount of adversity. The kid was adopted 5 days from Russia before 9/11 happened, or he never would have made it into the United States. 4 schools in 3 years, basically. Found a home here. I came from Oklahoma State where he was at. He came here, he played every day. Was up in the Cape Cod and played well. And this guy's got some of the most mind-blowing power with a bat that I've seen at the college level. And everybody says that, but when people when you walk into SEC facilities and people stop what they're doing to watch him take batting practice, you know you got a guy. When other teams are waiting around before they go maybe eat their food right before pregame, they watch this guy hit. This guy captures your attention. You have to stop and watch what he's doing. I'm really looking forward to see what he does at the next level. That's for sure.
And Coach, I'm curious, you've been around a lot of great talent, even in your early kind of coaching career. And I'm curious, how much extra do you really have to guide or lead when you have a talent like that? Because we're talking, big league talent, even though it's at a smaller school in Austin Peay. How much of that is just, hey, you know what to do, and I'm just here to kind of guide you, or how dialed in are you in his process throughout the season, I guess?
Yeah, we're dialed in all in the process for all of it, right? There's the student, there's the classroom, the community, and then the chance to earn a championship, right? And so, we sit these guys down and really map out kind of what they want out of this, right? And then we coach them. Lyle Miller Green's a big, nice player, but you call him and ask him if I ever had to get after him, he'll tell you I ddid. He's not off limits just because he's good. These guys need a little accountability. These guys need to be reeled in every now and then. But the things that a guy like Lyle is, we got a bunch of guys wanting to be great. We got a bunch of guys coming here that maybe it didn't work out somewhere and people didn't really maybe show them the roadmap and help them out. And you show guys a little bit of love and a little bit of opportunity. It's crazy what they'll do for you. And again, just like Lyle or just like Titan or just like any of them. I mean, we all have flaws. Even I do as a head coach. I mess up all the time. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. Like if we think we got it figured out, we're all crazy. But again, a guy like Lyle was low maintenance. This team was pretty low maintenance. Again, they did things right in the classroom. And we talk about all the time, like you do things right in the classroom and things right in the community. You give yourself a chance just to earn a championship. And these guys did that. And it's pretty cool to watch.
Coach, when you have the type of success that you've had over the first 2 years, obviously it catches a lot of folks' attention. And I guess one of those folks is Gerald Harrison. You signed a contract extension here not too long ago through 2028. What's it mean to you to have the folks that are right there in the trenches with you like that, kind of say we like what you do and we believe in you and we, want to make sure that you're around for a while?
Yeah, G's my guy. That's G Money right there. That's my guy.
Literally, right?
Yeah, G's the man. Listen, he hired me. I was in a player development role at Oklahoma State, right? Kind of a little bit of a non-coaching, different role in the landscape of college sports right now. He took a chance on me. There's a lot of people that told me no. And I'm asking players to do the same thing. Our stories are the same, right? But there's been other places maybe tell me no to be a head coach, and I was okay with that. Just like these players that get told you need to go somewhere else and find a new home. Great, come on over to the Govs country. We know how to put you in the house and put our arms around you. You don't always get who you want, but you get who you are. And I think G's a guy that likes hustle, that likes guys with energy. And two things I'm not shy of. I'm not scared to hustle, and I'm not scared to bring a little juice to the party. And we got a bunch of players do the same thing. And I think, again, I appreciate them wanting me around. I wanted to show some loyalty to them and to let them know I wanted to be around because they did take a chance on me. I didn't, I think we get a rap sometimes as coaches, especially here, maybe at a mid-major or Austin Peay. If you had a couple good years, coach is gone, right? Coach is gone. And, I've been at some really cool baseball conferences, and careful what you wish for. And, my wife and kid, no, I'm just being honest, guys. Like, that's just, listen, you can go chase it, right? Like, you may be without a job in 2 years. That's just the way it is. And I got
if they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. There's a reason why jobs come open, right? And so again, like my wife, my wife's a rock star. Our coaches and their wives are rock stars. They took a chance on coming to Clarksville with us, and we've been able to retain coaches, retain people in the building that want to be here, to want to make this place go. And we're extremely thankful for what the university and Clarksville and the community's done for us. And we're not done. We're just getting going. We ain't done. We're not settling. There's no stopping. There's no average. There's no complacency. We're trying to make this thing better than we finished. That's for sure.
All gas, no brakes. Roland Fanning, the second-year baseball coach at Austin Peay, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, you talked about some guys that have transferred in here, Lyle Miller Green among them. You got a guy that a number of mid-state folks would tell you was a great get, and you probably don't need to be told, but talk about Zane Denton coming in here, former Ravenwood High School standout who started his college career at Alabama and was up at Tennessee and is now coming to Clarksville.
Yeah, that was an interesting get, that's for sure. And we are super excited that he chose to come here, no doubt about it. And we also excited that when he decided he wanted to come here, it also ignited some others that want to come here and follow him and be on the field with good players. There's a thing, man, in sports right now. Good players want to play with good players. That's a real thing. And It only takes one domino to fall over, and then the rest of them go too, right? And so when you get a big centerpiece, and you get to kind of decorate around a little bit. And this is it was unbelievable for him to want to be a part of this, no doubt about it. But I think it goes back to how we're growing this, how we're building this, and how we are managing the roster and taking care of the players. Because now you got guys who left the state of Tennessee. Now they get to come back and be in the middle of real winning baseball. And again, our brand of baseball is a little different. It's a little bit non-traditional. I say that in a way like you come to a practice at Austin Peay, there's going to be some probably loud music going on, some air horns going on. Titan Hayes, my man Titan Hayes had long blonde hair and earrings and chains. And some guys would be like, why you let him do that? I'm like, well, went to class, didn't get in trouble. Want to be his best authentic self on game day. The guy throws 96 to 100, grow your hair out longer. I don't care. I want guys that want to be here for the right reasons. And if you do things right off the field, we're going to give you a lot of freedom on the field to be you. And it's like I tell people all the time, if Gerald Harrison wanted me to not wear green shoes and be quiet, then I wouldn't be my best authentic self, right? So you got to wind these guys up and let them go and give them a little freedom to roam and be themselves. And I think if you do that, I think you'll get a really good version out of these athletes these days. That's just my opinion. That don't work for everybody. That's just my opinion.
That doesn't work for everybody, but I guess my question, Coach, is what does it hurt?
Nothing. Give somebody a little bit of respect and a little bit of care factor. And it's amazing the ROI on that, what it'll be.
Absolutely. Coach, I wanted to ask you, kind of reading through some of your background, this may not come as a surprise to a lot of folks, but it seems like you do have a background, at least growing up in football, kind of given the juice that we've talked about and discussed today. But what I am potentially a little surprised by is that it says you play defensive back, because after talking with you, you feel more like a defensive end with the kind of the motor that you seem like you've got about you with us here today.
Well, listen, when you're 5'7", you're limited on what you can play, right? But
sometimes those are the dogs on the defensive line,
If Wes Welker would have came around a little bit sooner, I would have been a great little slot receiver, just get my head knocked off, get up, talk a little noise, and keep doing it, right? But yeah, in small town Oklahoma, you kind of play all the positions, and I love high school football, and I appreciate you asking that. It actually fires me up. But I love me some high school football. We don't have enough time to even get going on that.
I had like I said, I'm no expert, but I just had a feeling that, if maybe baseball coaching didn't work out, you might just find your way into a practice and, there might be an Oklahoma drill that breaks out if you were.
Oh, there's no question. No, listen, I'll be over watching Coach Ferris's practices. I was over there last year, and I'd be in a locker room after they won, yelling at guys with my air horn, the whole thing. Like we go watch all the sports, but I like watching football, and I really like football games after you win are really fun too.
Roland Fanning, bringing the juice. Love it. Austin Peay baseball coach joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, we appreciate you taking some time with us. I know that at the beginning of the day, there was a recruiting trip kind of on your docket that didn't get made, but wish you the best out there beating the bushes. And it doesn't sound like you need a whole lot of well wishes from us, because it sounds like you're getting it done. But we appreciate you taking some time with us and look forward to catching up with you.
Guys, let's do this again. I appreciate you guys having us on and following Austin Peay athletics in general, but I'd love to do this more often. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. We'll do it. Hey, when we continue here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's more baseball of the professional variety. So stick with us when we return to the Lee Company studios after this break.
National Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
July 22nd, 1997. It took Greg Maddux just 77 pitches and just over 2 hours to deal his former team a defeat as Atlanta defeated the host Chicago Cubs 4-1. Maddux struck out 6, allowed 5 hits, and gave up his only run when Sean Dunston led off the fourth with a base hit and scored on a Sammy Sosa groundout. The Braves went back up on a Chipper Jones sac fly and a 2-run Michael Tucker homer to secure Maddox's league-leading 14th win in a tidy 2 hours and 7 minutes. That was this day in Braves history.
Take that, Major League Baseball. I'll shorten my own games.
Yeah, we don't need no pitch clocks.
For the ADD fans out there, Greg Maddux was your guy back in the day.
We just need Greg Maddux. We need 5 Greg Madduxes. The Braves would take one right now. Probably that one right now. How old is Greg Maddux? I don't know.
That's a great question. 56 is like 61, maybe.
Yeah, he and I are right around the same age, I think. But it might take Greg Maddux these days.
Per Wikipedia.
Okay, all right. As we mentioned during the rundown, the Braves dropped 2 of 3 to St. Louis, splitting a doubleheader on Saturday after Friday's rainout, and then falling yesterday. prior to yesterday's game, it was announced that Max Fried has been placed on the IL with a left forearm issue. During the game, Ozzie Albies injured his wrist on an errant throw to second by catcher Travis d'Arnaud. And so he's on the injured list as well. We still don't know when Michael Harris is going to be back. Ronald Acuna Jr. is out for the year. Spencer Strider is out for the year. I don't know if this team is going to have enough healthy players to play in the playoffs if they get there. But they did sign veteran infielder Whit Merrifield this morning, and they have called up the latest phenom, and it's not Louisiana hot sauce, but it's Nacho Alvarez, who has been playing shortstop at Gwinnett, and I'm not sure what the plan is for him at this point, whether they're going to move Orlando Arcia across the bag and let Alvarez, who hasn't played any second base in the minors, continue to play at shortstop, or if they're going to move him over. Tune in tonight, I would think, for that game against Cincinnati to see, because if they're bringing him up, he's going to play. And he's been ripping the cover off the ball both at AA Mississippi and since he got to Gwinnett about 6 weeks or so ago. So a lot of folks are excited about seeing him up. And you hate to see Ozzie go down, but the reality of it is Ozzie had been struggling a little bit offensively, as have a lot of the Braves here of late. Still 10 games over 500, still the first wild card spot in the National League, but I'm not sure how long that continues to be the case if they don't, as Coach Fanning would say, get some juice from somewhere. So maybe Alvarez can help with that. The Braves 54-44. They are the top team in the wild card behind the division leading Phillies, Dodgers, and Brewers. So,
that was the only bad part was that it was the Cardinals, but Fangraph still has them comfortably in at 88%. So we'll have to. Presumably, it would take either a couple teams really getting hot or something really bad happening with some of these injuries to really start putting the panic meter in our living room. To start looking at it on a nightly basis.
They are 2.5 games up on St. Louis in the wild card race, and they are 4 games up on the Mets. So the Diamondbacks are the next closest. They're the first team out at this point. But that you don't want to say they're in as we sit here on July 22nd, but like you said, they are not in horrible shape at this moment, just in terms of getting into the playoffs. And again, with everything they've dealt with this entire season, I think getting into the playoffs needs to be the focus and let everything else hopefully take care of itself. I mean, maybe Ozzie gets back around Labor Day or so. I still think Harris should be close. But I don't want to. I mean, Anthopoulos is going to have to make a move. I'm sure he knows that. I think everybody is kind of waiting with bated breath to see what that is. At this point, I don't know if that's a pitcher. I don't know if that's another outfielder. I don't, because while the pitching seems to be getting thin, the hitting, you've got hitters, but they're not producing. So I don't know what the move is at this point, and it'll be fascinating to see what they pinpoint as their positions of need with the trade deadline looming here on July 31st, which is Wednesday.
It's coming up very rapidly, and it
very
will be
rapidly.
It's going to be fascinating, right? Because there's several teams that are in need of some key pieces, and whether that's because they're already healthy and they're just trying to bolster, or some are kind of going to be forced more out of necessity than anything, it seems like.
David O'Brien at D O'Brien ATL. David O'Brien from The Athletic tweeted about 15 minutes ago. Nacho Alvarez is on the field at second base working with Walt Weiss now. I mean, he ain't Wash, but Walt Weiss knows his way around that second base area. So seems as if Alvarez will be in the starting lineup at second base tonight against Cincinnati with Ellie De La Cruz and Reese Hines and all those other young cats that they're rolling in here with. So should be an interesting series, starting off with, again, MTSU Alumni Night tonight. So look out for that MTSU blue in the stands down at Truist Park tonight.
That's what I was wondering too. I wonder if MTSU, do they cater to the Reds and the Cardinals as well? I mean,
well, I'm not sure if that's as much a MTSU thing as it is a
ATL's tapping
Braves
into them?
thing. So I don't, that's a good question. I don't know how that comes about. I don't know if the major league teams reach out to certain schools and say, hey, we'd like to have an alumni night for y'all, or if it's the alumni associations that reach out and say, hey, we'd like to come to your spot. You know,
somebody in the alumni office is like, man, I ain't been to Atlanta in a while. It's always fun to go down to Atlanta. Let me see if we can coordinate something here and get a little free trip out of the deal.
Yeah, let's see if we can get some caps and some gear and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure there's a cap giveaway that I'll be missing out on. So might should have tried to do a remote from down there. Maybe that's what we should have done, Wade.
We can set something up. I do know my sister is already fired up. She'll be in line early on Outcast bobblehead night coming up in early August. So she is already pumped, staying at the Omni and is ready to go. And she said, hey, are you coming down? I said, no, that's it's smack dab in the middle of the week, but you might be onto something here. We might be able to spin something out of that.
Well, let me just tell you, we hung out, Jody and I did a little bit at the Omni, not at the Omni, in the Battery, both Saturday night and Sunday. And if your sister is staying at the Omni, what does she do for a living again?
She goes into debt is what she's doing. But she knows it. She ain't missing the Outcast bobblehead after missing it last year. And so she's spending an arm and a leg and staying one night and then going to the game. But she's really toying with the idea of staying an extra night and watching the game, because apparently you can watch from the hotel. Kind of like almost kind of like a Diamondbacks pool situation.
Sort of like the Sky Dome in Toronto, that kind of thing.
Yep. So we shall see. But she's tugging at me over here. But I'm like you. I'm like, hang on, this. I gotta find a new career if that's the case, because I can't afford no Omni tickets or no Omni hotel bill at this point.
Man, I tell you,
more than you could sit. I was like, hey, you could sit behind home plate for the money you're going to spend on the hotel.
And I think I'd rather, but that's, hey, priorities, right? Yeah. Maybe you should have went out to Seattle this weekend. That would have been a fun trip.
Would have been
especially
fun
with the outcomes.
Yeah, it would have been fun. I had borderline thought about, man, maybe they'll get a sweep out of this deal. Going,
you get greedy,
game.
don't you? I mean, after they won the first two of a 3-game series, it's like, hey, why not? Why not just sweep it? Why not just win them all? Yeah.
And I didn't watch any of the game Friday or Saturday, and I was like, should I watch? I had some downtime yesterday. I was like, should I watch? I was like, no, you know how that goes too. A little superstition kicked in.
Don't mess with the streak, right?
The notification popped up, and I was basically almost taking it for granted they were going to win again. But Seattle did manage to claw one back yesterday, so they're 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as they like to say, right?
2 out of 3 ain't bad. And Jordan Alvarez walked in the clubhouse after the game and said, I didn't lose. Y'all lost. Alvarez with the 10th cycle in Houston Astros franchise history yesterday, finishing it off with a double in the 8th in that 6-4 loss.
Yeah, how about that? Finishing with the double, right? Getting some of the harder pieces out of the way early.
Yeah. I mean, the triple is always the big challenge, and I'm not sure when he got that, but that was in the at-bat prior
in the 6th. So he got the triple. I think started with the homer, and then singled in the 1st, homered in the 4th, tripled in the 6th, and then got the double. I like that too. It's like, man, obviously the game was kind of the more important situation, but that's always a fun thing too.
It
When you
really
know
is.
exactly what you need and you're like, all right, if I need a triple or I need a homer, you start gripping the bat a little tighter and digging the spikes in a little deeper.
Nobody has ever missed a cycle with 2 triples, have they?
Right.
It's like we just gonna choke it down right here.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we've talked a lot about injuries in this segment over the course of this season. The Dodgers have not been immune, but good news for them and bad news for everybody, particularly in their division. Um, Tyler Glasnow is scheduled to start Wednesday, and Clayton Kershaw scheduled to start Thursday for the Dodgers. The latter making his season debut. Glasnow was named to the All-Star team, his first All-Star game assignment. 8-5 with a 3.47 ERA, 143 strikeouts in 109 innings. Having some back issues that necessitated him being placed on the injured list. But again, he is set to go on Wednesday. And then Kershaw, coming off of shoulder surgery back in the fall, seems to be coming back a little sooner than expected. He was expected to be out until August, so slightly ahead of things. 13-5 with a 2.46 ERA last year. He's made 3 minor league rehab starts, striking out 12 in 10 innings. So I guess they figure if he's going to throw any more at this point, he may as well be throwing and logging major league innings and taking some pressure off of the rest of that pitching staff, which currently has 11 guys on the injured list, a major league leading 11 pitchers on the IL for the Dodgers. So the Dodgers don't want to hear anybody complaining about injuries right now.
Yep. And we were talking about trade deadline pieces a moment ago, and I was checking. We talked to Jake Lyman Friday, and the Orioles are the hot team that everybody's throwing to potentially get in the screwball mix for the Tigers. Found an article on CBS. The Dodgers are right there at number 2 because they got crazy to think about it. As many good players they have, apparently they have enough prospects that they can pull off a move, but they're in the mix. Braves are listed at 6th on this list. So kind of going back to our point of injuries are sometimes forcing some deals. And it is going to be very fascinating to see if the Dodgers somehow fully form, because they've been riddled just like quite a few teams, but it feels like, especially because of their reputation, they've really been decimated this year at times.
Yeah. I'm just not sure that the Braves have enough trade capital, as they like to say, to really get in the screwball mix. I'd love to see it because, he's a guy that's going to be controllable for some period of time, especially if Max doesn't re-sign at the end of this season. I think that'd be a great get if Max doesn't come back, if Charlie Morton retires. That would be a nice piece to have for an extended period of time, I would think. But like I said, I'm just not sure that the Braves have enough to get into that mix. And also, the Braves have got A.J. Smith-Shawver, kind of on the cusp of coming back. They've got Ian Anderson on the cusp of coming back. So, the pitching, if you can be patient, might take care of itself. I mean, Schwellenbach didn't look great yesterday, but that was a veteran lineup that he was facing, and he's a young kid. He has shown enough to make you feel like he's got a shot to really help you this year and for some time down the road. So I'm not sure if pitching is necessarily where the Braves are going to go. And if it is, it may not be that front line guy like a Skubal. It may be more of a veteran, maybe a rental type thing, just to give you some innings. So I'll be interested to see what Anthopoulos does here between now and next Wednesday to address this injury riddled roster that the Braves are playing with right now. So
time to get creative a little bit.
Well, nobody does it like him, that's for sure. So
absolutely.
It's almost as much fun to watch as the Braves are on the field, and right now it might be even more. So our number one of the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is winding down. When we come back to the Lee Company studios, it was All-Star Weekend in Phoenix for the WNBA due to crowd strike. I think some of those folks may still be out there. We'll see when we come back. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Hour number 2 of the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today continues. Well, starts. Hour number 2 starts now. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. And Wade, as we mentioned during the rundown, Team WNBA capped the WNBA All-Star Weekend out in Phoenix with a 119-107 win over Team USA, the U.S. women's national basketball team that will be headed to Paris for the Olympics. And as you mentioned, the hot take coming out of that contest Saturday night was that we're sending the wrong team to the Olympics. Well, okay, maybe. I don't know. I think that the overwhelming majority of the folks that were saying so based on the fact that the winning team included Caitlin Clark, she of the 4 points and 10 assists in that 117-109 victory. But I would think maybe Arike Ogunbowale had a bigger one more time.
Ogunbowale.
Ogunbowale, thank you.
This was also a fun listen across all of social media and the internet this weekend.
Ogunbowale,
whose brother plays for the Texans also.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Ogunbowale. I'm gonna need some work, Wade.
We're working on it. It's a work in progress.
With me on
she
that.
put on a show.
34 points, all in the second half. I don't know where she was in the first half, but I didn't get to see it obviously because I was watching Bryce Elder get ripped. But sounds like a really entertaining ball game, and watching the responses on social media after, I mean, it was pretty much a consensus that this was the most exciting all-star game of any professional sport. And prior to the game, Team WNBA coach Cheryl Miller said her players wanted to beat the brakes off Team USA, and they did just that in the second half. Goodness gracious. And, I wonder, clearly they were motivated because Cheryl Miller, spoke to their getting snubbed, I guess. And, maybe Team USA just didn't have as much to play for, as much to prove, didn't match their intensity, and got caught sleeping a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, and no one's was going to call it this, but I mean, this was just basically the gold medal game is the way I was just looking at it. And, now USA should steamroll everybody in Paris, and then, they can accept the silver medal, and then they'll just bring out Team WNBA at the end and be like, hey, here, the gold medal was already decided. It feels right that we just played it already on U.S. soil because we kind of know where we're headed with all this.
You would think. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about women's international basketball, but if there is a better team lurking in Paris than either of these two teams that we just saw Saturday night, let me know so I can be sure and watch.
Yeah, and it was to your point, it was pretty epic, if nothing else, to see all of the fanfare on socials from the weekend. Except for, man, a tough break for Aubrey Plaza, the famous actress. Tore her ACL during a mean game of knockout at the practice facility, she said, but she's kind of been a staple at a lot of the games. But she was sitting right there next to Rapinoe and Sue Bird. And, man, everybody seemingly, all sorts of actors, actresses, rappers. I mean, everybody just really leaned into what was a fun event, which is just another part of this epic season that the WNBA has kind of been producing thus far.
Yeah. Looking at this article on CBSSports.com, kind of comprehensive coverage of this game and the weekend. And, as has been pointed out on numerous occasions, the U.S. women's national basketball team has won 7 straight Olympic gold medals and had not lost a single game in Olympic competition. But losing in their first and biggest test of the summer. And I don't know. It feels like maybe much is being made of little in this situation. I don't think there's another team out there as good as the team that they just lost to. Yeah,
that's the way I'm 100% looking at this is the fact that Team WNBA is good enough to win gold or silver. And that just shows the level of play here in the United States. For anybody that's like really twerked or worked up about this, I'm having a hard time buying that as any more than a little bit of a pandering because, it just shows the depth of play in the United States, in my opinion. The fact that you basically could have two full-blown teams that could win gold, that just speaks volumes to me, is where I come out of this.
I think that's really where you need to be on this. Not only is Team USA good enough to win the gold, but we left a team at home that's good enough to win it as well. I think that's really the way you got to look at this. But I will tell you this.
There are grifters, that's for sure.
I will tell you this. Tomorrow, Team USA, and I think in terms of wrong place, wrong time, this will be that for Germany tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out when it is, where it is, how you can see it. But I think Team WNBA probably got Team USA's attention here. And I think that won't be good for the German women, probably. So,
yeah, I mean, anything less than 2 golds, which shout out to South Sudan from over the weekend. But anything less than 2 golds in the men and women's basketball sport coming up this week and over the next month will obviously be a pretty massive disappointment.
Let's touch just a second on that, because there was some stuff flying around social media after that as well. Was there? I mean, how seriously did they possibly take South Sudan?
I didn't watch, but was kind of following just at the very end. I mean, the U.S. had to make a comeback, but again, it's an exhibition game. I'm not really that concerned or worried. And you still have assembled enough of a team that the second best team in the world could very easily be argued is the 5 players off the bench for the USA. So, I mean, that's kind of the talent disparity. And shout out to Luol Deng, who has kind of really been kind of putting South Sudan in terms of like international basketball, I guess, kind of on the map. And those guys, it was fun to hear and read some of the quotes and interviews. It just seemed like, hey, we have no expectations for this. We're just going to go out here and have fun. And the fact that they were just kind of playing with that loosey-goosey attitude, they ended up, I think they were ahead like 14, 15 points at one point in the second half, and the U.S. kind of clawed its way back in and ends up winning. But it was a lot of fun to see kind of just a crazy younger. And speaking of young, that's like the youngest country in the world too, right? I think it was only founded like less than 20 or 30 years ago. And so just the fact that they've even like put together just this crazy fun collection of talent. I mean, I think they also in a weird way won a lot of fans over. That's kind of the cool part of the Olympics, especially in sports where you assume that the U.S. is going to win. Now you kind of look for another team to root for. And I think South Sudan picked up some fans this weekend.
Team USA women and Germany play tomorrow. And if you can put the TV on FS1 and still listen to us, that'd be fantastic, because tip-off is at 2 o'clock Central Time. So make plans. Do some split screening or something there. But I think that'll be worth watching for some period of time, not for 40 minutes. Prior to Saturday's All-Star game, Alicia Gray of the Atlanta Dream won both the skills challenge and the 3-point contest. And I think she, depending on whether the WNBA listened to Dawn Staley or not, she either picked up 2 $55,000 checks or one $110,000 check. Not sure which.
Solid performance for fantastic player. And it kind of just, we touched on it a little bit before we departed on Friday. I mean, this was a big weekend, which also perfectly dovetailed into maybe hopefully now some extra eyeballs for women's basketball at the Olympics. That's kind of the other kind of untapped barrier or threshold, if you will, a little bit is, now can we potentially get this thing to grow even more on the international stage as well?
Certainly going to have an opportunity. I mean, again, this Saturday night's ball game really kind of got some conversation going, I think, and folks will be paying attention. And you would think again, probably woke them up. Kind of gives them a little bit of an edge. Loss might not have necessarily been a bad thing for
yeah.
Team
And also I'm
USA.
wondering, this was, I'm assuming just on a base level, there was a little more of a competitive element from the opening tip-off than the NBA All-Star game. But, it's still kind of centered around kind of a fun, loosey-goosey atmosphere. So if I'm the coaching staff for Team USA, it's kind of a best of both worlds, right? You go out, you have fun, and then you somehow lose with zero stakes involved.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of can use that as a little fuel to kind of motivate you, even for a game that meant absolutely nothing. Now you get a chance to go out and motivate your team, which was already good enough to basically sleepwalk to the goal. Now you just get to poke the fire a little bit.
Absolutely. Cheryl Reeve, I think we needed a game like this to have our attention, per se. We know how hard it is to do what we're trying to do. We just have work to do to get there. And maybe they just got a reminder that they have work to do to get there. I mean, they've won 7 straight Olympic gold medals. What makes you think that somebody has caught up to them to the point that they're not going to win an 8th? So,
yeah. And from my amateur research here, Germany this is their first qualification to the Olympic Games. So they will be going, but they may not want to go after tomorrow. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. By the way, after the skills challenge and the 3-point shooting contest on Friday, prior to Saturday's All-Star game, they had a 3-on-3 competition between the women's Team USA and the U23 USA team. Ryan Howard played for that Team USA squad after that ankle injury that she suffered for the Atlanta Dream a few weeks back that kind of had us all wondering whether or not she was going to be available, because she and Cam Brink got hurt right around the same time, if you recall. Brink tearing a ACL in a game for the Sparks and obviously not being available. Dearica Hamby was named in her stead to go to Paris. Well, it seems that Ron Howard is just fine. She scored 12 points in Team USA's 19-16 win over the U23 team, as they had to come back for that, and she was pretty much pedal to the metal down the stretch for them in that one. So she looks like she's going to be good to go for Paris, and that's good news for everybody, particularly everybody down in the Cleveland, Tennessee area, where the former Bradley Central standout hails from. So another reason to watch the Olympics. There's always a local connection, and we'll be rooting for Ryan as well. So finally, we wrap up WNBA talk here. The District of Columbia Sports Hall of Fame inducted its 2024 class yesterday prior to the Washington Nationals game against Cincinnati. Among the inductees was former Nationals third baseman Ryan Zimmerman, and also former University of Tennessee standout Chamiqua Holtzclaw, who won 3 consecutive national championships with the Lady Vols from 96 to 98, and then went on to play 6 of her 11 WNBA seasons with the Washington Mystics. She was Rookie of the Year her first year. She was a 5-time All-Star. Led the league in scoring and rebounding in 2002 and in rebounding in 2003. So nice to see Chamiqua still remembered and to see her recognized up there in the DC area. Also, former Maryland women's basketball standout Vicky Bullitt ex-Washington general manager Charlie Casserly also inducted into the DC Sports Hall of Fame. So congratulations to all of them. And again, I got a chance to see Shamiqua when she was playing at UT, and it would be fun to see her in today's game because she was kind of a precursor to that in a lot of ways. So again, congrats to her. Nice to hear her name mentioned with some of these folks that were honored yesterday in Washington. When we continue here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, speaking of University of Tennessee standouts, we will be joined by the VOT, Mike Keith, talking Little Titans, among other things. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studio after this.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
The Monday Mirror continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely, and we are now joined by the VOT, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Keith. Mike, you had any good barbecue lately?
Yes. I went to Memphis on Friday, so I've definitely had some good barbecue. That's for certain.
I know you did. I saw your tweet actually from Pollard's Barbecue, which I was unfamiliar with, but I'm sure they got a bump or will get a bump from people who have seen that tweet. The Pollard family, Titans running back Tony Pollard,
that's right,
are the proprietors of that eatery down there. How was it?
It was really good. It was really not surprising. I mean, there's a lot of great barbecue in Memphis, and I haven't met much barbecue I didn't think was really good. I like it, most all of it. But it was especially good. I thought their ribs were top of the line. There are different points that I think Memphis ribs can be overrated sometimes, and these were underrated in terms of that line. It was a lot more rib than it was just seasoning or sort of gristle. I mean, a lot of times it's over. They do the whole massive amount of rub, and the rub's supposed to be the thing, and then the rib itself isn't really that good. This was their rub is excellent. Their sauce is excellent. I like a dry rib. That's where I really judge that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can find a sauce that goes with it, that's really something else. You go to Kansas City, get that, it's like they put like 8 things of sauce on it. And it's like, I don't want that, I don't want it all over.
I feel like you're trying to cover something up if you're giving me a lot of sauce.
Right,
and
right.
So,
well, I mean, some people like that, but I just think that's And if you find a good dry rib, and then you can sort of give it just a little dunk of sauce to your heart's content, because the sauce is so good.
Right.
It was a good spot. They had fried bologna, which made me very happy. Yeah, made me very, very happy. I thought their chicken was really good too. They had what I consider a delicacy, barbecued spaghetti, which you can't find anywhere. And that's because the barbecue sauce has to be good enough that it can go with the spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good spot. I came away very happy. I don't think I ate dinner on Friday because I was so full from lunch. If I did, I just had something really small. Can't remember. It was great.
Awesome. Solid review for sure, it sounds like.
Not afraid. Yeah, not afraid to give it a big thumbs up. If it weren't good, I just wouldn't have said anything.
There you go.
It really is.
Heavy move there.
His parents are delightful. They are so excited that he is part of our team now, and coming up for practice on Saturday, which is our first open practice at the stadium in 5 years. And so we're really excited about that. You do need a ticket, by the way. You have to go online and get a ticket. Tickets are free, but they want to be able to make sure they know how many people they have in the house. But his folks are coming up for that. So
are they bringing a care package with?
It's an interesting question. I asked them if they had planned to do tailgating, and they did not tailgate in Dallas because obviously Memphis to Dallas is a haul. Mm-hmm. But they think they are going to do some tailgating here in Nashville, because it's only from where they are probably a 3-hour, 15-minute ride.
Mm-hmm. Now, when they tailgate, I mean, they might not want to tailgate because they're cooking all the time anyway. I mean, that'll be interesting. Are they going to be charging a surcharge out there? Or how will that?
So they're open on Sundays in Memphis. Pollard's Barbecue, which is on Elvis Presley Boulevard, it's open on Sundays. And I said, so what are you going to do? Because the whole family works there. I mean, it's really a thing, and
that's the wonderful thing about owning your own business, right?
I guess
you're constantly working.
I wouldn't want to do it. So I said, so what do you do on game day? They go, oh, we close. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's it's not like, well, we have to stick around. No, we're closing.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine folks understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Mike, so I guess after you had Pollard's on Friday, you didn't eat until the Sports Hall of Fame banquet on Saturday, right?
That's about right. Yeah, that's about right. It was a long couple days, no doubt. I was in East Tennessee yesterday, so I was kind of moving around a little bit over the last 3 days. But Saturday was the stay-at-home day, and it turned out we were at the Omni with the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, which Brad Willis does an amazing job putting together. And the dinner, it turned out to be a really, really wonderful night overall. I think people were kind of blown away by the number of different sports that were represented throughout the inductees. It was really quite amazing. One of the more interesting groups that we've ever had in terms of coming from all different spectrums of sport.
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious, Mike, is who kind of stole the show in your mind? Because talk about a diverse class. That was that's always the fun thing with just even reading through the bios of everybody, whether you're familiar with them or not. This Hall of Fame induction ceremony touches so many different realms in so many different ways. I'm curious, kind of your takeaway. Who maybe, if anybody, kind of really, really captivated the audience this weekend?
I think it's Bill Dance. I think that, to me, was the one that sort of got everybody. If it wasn't Bill Dance, it was Scott Hamilton, and they were very close, 1A, 1B. The other thing that was really interesting too, so they had a legacy award. So we do honors and then we do inductees. And Bill Dance was actually the Tennessean of the year, and he's already an inductee. He's already in. So he was good in that role. Scott Hamilton was an inductee, but the legacy award went to White Station High School, and it was for their basketball teams through 2000 through 2004. They played nearly 200 games in those seasons and lost a grand total of 12.
It was Dave Bradshaw back then, right?
Dave Bradshaw was there.
Yeah.
He was there that night, and they played they had the 15-player rotation. So they would go 5 in, 5 in, 5 in. One of their teams, the high score, averaged like 9.4 points per game. And I remember those teams vividly. And so they brought 130 people with them.
Wow.
So nobody got to speak from that group, or else we'd still be there. But, they came up and they were presented, and it was quite amazing.
I saw a tweet over the weekend, Mike, referencing Todd Helton's induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So I guess it was yesterday that I saw it, referencing Todd Helton's induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Dalton Connect's being drafted a few weeks ago, and Chris Burke's induction Saturday night into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. And they said, nobody is more proud of their school than University of Tennessee student athletes. It was a picture of Dalton showing the lining of the jacket that he wore to the draft that night. It was Todd with the power T lapel pin and the orange jacket that Chris wore Saturday night. And I just thought that was really kind of cool, the way they literally wear their allegiance to UT.
Yeah, I think Tennessee was obviously very proud overall of, not only the weekend they had, but really the last school year. They certainly had a lot of success in sports, and they've had a lot of their guys out and about. The Todd Helton Baseball Hall of Fame, just the whole thing, from the moment it was announced, waiting to see if he would get in. My wife and I were in a restaurant out west, and we happened to walk in just at the moment that they were announcing. And, just to sit there and wait and watch and see. And I think he got in by like 2%, 3%, something like that. It was really amazing. And so to follow all of that, and I covered Todd in high school at Central. I did one of his football games when he was a freshman in high school. So followed him all the way up. Obviously did all of the baseball games on the radio at Tennessee. And I mean, he's a huge reason I'm here. Probably more than any other athlete, because he gave me a chance to call some crazy stuff in college. And that improves your tape a little bit when somebody gives you good material that way. Just like an actor, when he gets a good script, when you get good material, it helps you be able to do some things that people might notice. So I was certainly very appreciative to have those 3 years with Todd and to know him from so far back, and to see him do this. Very happy for him and for the entire Helton family. Certainly his wife and children as well.
Mike Keith, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, affectionately known as the VOT. You can find him at 10 Voice on Twitter or on X. And it's been a revelation finding Mike on social media. Actually, again, saw that clip that you did from Pollard's Barbecue over the weekend and
Thank you.
different stuff. It's because you're not constantly on there inundating folks with stuff, and so it's one of those deals where when Mike says something on Twitter, it's worth checking out. But
Yeah.
and hope
I hope.
and yeah, exactly. I mean, efficient. I like it. Preseason camp starts Wednesday. Obviously, again, there's an open practice Saturday at Nissan Stadium. You do have to have a ticket to get in, as Mike mentioned. But so much has taken place over this offseason with this team, Mike, and it's finally time to see what it all looks like, I guess. What are you most anticipating seeing here over this first few days of preseason camp?
I want to see Brian Callahan at work. I've seen him some in the practices during the OTAs and the mini camp, but we're getting ready to see the real thing. Now, the first few days of practice is obviously that sort of like the high schools do, where they ramp up, and the league has that as well now, which I think is a good thing for players to come in and sort of get to work their way up to full pads, which will be sometime the middle of next week, early to mid next week. But I want to watch the head coach. I want to see what he does. And I also, want to watch Denard Wilson coach the defense. He is absolutely the head coach of the defense. And so I want to watch what he's able to do. I want to see the rookies like everybody else does now that they are fully in with the vets. Interesting decision, guys. And I was surprised by this. Brian Callahan is bringing in everybody tomorrow at the same time. He could have brought rookies, injured players, and quarterbacks in early. He chose not to do that. He's bringing everybody in at the same time because he wants everybody in feeling like they're very much part of the same football team from the jump. And so I will be I mean, it's all going to be fascinating to see how quickly it comes together.
Absolutely. And Mike, I am curious. Is there any guy in particular in that rookie class, or maybe if you could just even kind of put it into context? It seems like we take the kid gloves off, obviously, at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And is tomorrow or Wednesday kind of when that officially happens, or do some guys kind of grasp that earlier? And if so, maybe who's a guy that you're particularly maybe excited about seeing in the full scheme of things as we get into the nitty gritty this week?
I was kind of shaking my head, Wade, because I think somewhat yes, because you're wondering who can start practice.
Mm-hmm.
Does somebody have to go on to PUP, or is somebody off to the side because they don't pass the conditioning test? So you don't exactly know if it starts right away. If everybody comes in, passes the conditioning test, then you're just sort of watching to see what goes on the first few days. But I just don't believe in much of what I see until I see people in pads. It's a totally different game. And I don't just say that because of the hitting, although that is a large part of it. But what has always amazed me through my time covering college and pro football is the fact that some guys are just as fast with their pads on as they are when they run the 40. Some guys are actually faster for some strange reason. Seems like they play faster than what their 40 time is. And then there are certain guys who've run these wild 40s and their speed doesn't translate to the field. And you're like, what happened? So a lot of it's how you carry your pads, how you play in those situations. Do you tire out more? Some guys can just play. You get some people that look like they're straight out of Fitness magazine and they have these great physiques, and then you have these other guys who don't look like that. And the don't look like that guys sometimes end up being much better football players because so much of the game is innate and it's about wanting it. It's about aggressiveness. It's about a lack of fear. And back to the other part too, it's how fast do you play? you can't measure any of that until you see some of that. So, yeah, I'm going to be interested to see if Tavondre Sweat's ready to go for the start of camp. You bet I am. But am I going to fully judge Tavondre Sweat until I see him with football pads on? No.
Also, I loved what you mentioned a moment ago. So much of this offseason was kind of offensive based and driven, and the headlines were about the coaching staff and the acquisitions there. But I'm kind of like you. I am really fascinated to see what Coach Wilson potentially brings, kind of putting his thumbprints and kind of DNA on this defense heading into camp, and then obviously beyond that.
Well, and to see who he likes.
Right.
Who he likes for his defense. And that will become pretty obvious within the first 2 weeks of camp as you'll watch the rotations, because you'll say, oh, he likes so-and-so in these situations, or, oh, he doesn't like this guy as much, or, you'll be able to get a feel for the players that he feels like fit in, like, Jamal Adams, for example. You get the impression that when they were going to add a safety, somebody said, well, we need a Jamal Adams type. That's the kind of type guy we need for Denard Wilson's defense. And maybe somebody said, well, why don't we just go get Jamal Adams? He's available. So, how does Jamal fit? How does Roger McCreary fit? How does Jack Gibbons fit? How does Sebastian Joseph Day fit in the defensive line? How does Arden Key fit? Are they going to find different ways to use Kenneth Murray? All of those different things are going to be things that I'm watching for. And also the mix and match quotient of it too, from the standpoint about, does he like to go 6 defensive backs? And if so, who are the 6? Mm-hmm. Does he play a 3 defensive end package? Is a guy like Caleb Murray or Rashad Weaver a different player in different schemes within this defense, even if they're not starters? Are they regular rotators in certain situations? So, a lot of that will be telltale towards what he likes, and will also start to tell us a story towards what the 48-man roster will be like on game day. Meaning somebody's got to play special teams, and hey, if we know this particular player is going to be used on third downs, then he's definitely going to be one of those special teams guys, which means somebody else is not.
Right.
So you start putting together the math of all of it too, which I think is a lot of fun.
Mike Keith, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, and we're so happy to have him. Mike, as the only VOT, you've seen every coach in Tennessee Titans history.
I have.
For some reason, it feels like to me, and you'll tell me if I'm wrong, because we go that far back and you're not worried about telling me I'm wrong. It feels like the dynamic from Vrabel to Callahan is different than any other transition that we've seen. Maybe more something. I don't know. Have you seen another change that has been as
well? Munchak to Wisenhunt
maybe
was very different.
Okay,
very different people. Munchak was the straight ahead sort of guy, whereas Wisenhunt was very acerbic, very sarcastic, kind of more, trying to lean more toward the cerebral than what Munch was. Munch a really smart guy, but Munch very much trusted the players. He because he was, he's a Hall of Fame player in his own right. So he didn't sit around and tell them everything they should do. Wisenhunt wanted to be a guy who told them everything they should do. So that was a big change. Mm-hmm. This one is a very different change in terms of football style, from the standpoint that Brian is very much going to coach the offense. and he's got Nick Holtz, and he's got other coaches who are certainly going to help him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's running the offense. His week is going to be set up for him to set up the offense. That's how in working with him on his schedule for radio and TV, we already know it's going to be vastly different. Whereas Mike Vrabel was in with all groups at different times. This guy is a very different offensive personality because it's going to be his show. And we have had some guys like that. I mean, Wisenhunt was like that too, but it was it was very definitive in this case that this is the direction he's going to go. Their personalities, Vrabel's personality and Brian Callahan's personality, are not as dissimilar as you might think. They both have wicked senses of humor. They both like to have a lot of fun. Really good guys. Now, Vrabel is much more sort of in your face than Callahan is. He's more laid back. And I don't mean that in terms of coaching style. I mean, if Vrabes is walking down the hall here at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, you know it, right? I mean, here he comes. He's big. He's Mike Vrabel. If Brian's walking by you have to stop and realize, oh, that's the head coach, because he's not as big and boisterous in that way. But I think, the guys had a lot of fun with Mike Vrabel, and they're already having a lot of fun with Brian Callahan too, which is the kind of thing that you want to be able to have with your head coach in the pros. I think I just don't think there's any other way to do it today. You have to treat them like men. You've certainly got to coach them hard, and you want to win games. But at the same time, I mean, that old school stuff about playing mind games and just that didn't fly anymore.
You mentioned passing by Vrabel in the hallways at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, and it made me go back to that thing after the hiring cycle where he didn't get a job because he was too physically imposing for some folks. When you heard that, what was your reaction to it?
Well, I know what they mean. I don't think it was physically imposing. I think what it is Mike is big. Everything about Mike is big. Physically, he's big. His personality is big. His opinions are big. His jokes are big. Everything about him, there's a Mike Ditka quality to him and I can't think of many people that I can compare him to, but I think Mike intimidates people for that reason. And I think more people, they're in the hiring cycle, they wanted less of that big personality and more of that guy who just sort of fit in with everything. I think that was a change that was in this hiring cycle. Now, do I think he gets hired in the next hiring cycle? You bet I do. Because somebody's going to go, who cares? I mean, he won 59 games. He did a pretty good job. He won back-to-back divisions, and he was NFL Coach of the Year for a reason, and all of those sorts of things. But as was with our situation, I mean, when we made the change, the main reason is Amy Adams-Strunk wanted a different dynamic from Rand Carthon to Chad Brinker to the head coach to the training staff to the analytics department. I mean, and this really started in baseball. The Astros were one of those teams, were one of the first teams to do it, and several of the successful teams they've kind of got a leadership council, right? That's the term that's being used. There are a lot of people that have input, and while the GM or the president or even the head coach in some instances may have the final say, ownership wants that leadership council. That's what the Detroit Lions have. And Amy Adams-Strunk is a big fan of what they're doing and is a huge fan of Sheila Hamp, who's their owner. And the sense is that if you have this leadership council of people, then you thoroughly vet everything you do in a way that makes you make the best decisions in every area. And, Mike Vrabel was not brought in with that. He was 5 years under the traditional GM head coach thing. And she said up front, she said she didn't know if that would work because Mike is this big presence. And it did not go the way she wanted, and so she made the change. But I think it's different strokes for different folks. It works in a lot of different ways at different places. It's worked for us. Mm-hmm. We had 6 straight winning seasons.
Right.
But John Robinson was the GM where we had a lot of winning football games. But she feels like for the sustained success to get to that level, that's where we need to be. So that was what our mindset was, and the biggest reason why the change was made here, in my opinion. And I think it was more of the trend out there in the hiring cycle, which is why, do I believe somebody said that? Yes, I do believe somebody said that, but I think that's more about what they meant.
Mike Keith, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Mike, always a pleasure when we can get you on, and appreciate you taking some time out of your going from Memphis to Mountain City this weekend and
Lenore City.
Some rest. Oh, so you didn't go all the way up. Okay.
No, I didn't go I went to Lenore City yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Get some rest.
I will.
We appreciate you.
I'm ready to play ball. Let's go. Oh. I've had enough rest. Let's do this.
All right, then. Be careful what you wish for. Hey,
I want it. I'm ready for this season. This is going to be one of the more fascinating teams we've ever had. I just want to see what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Mike, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
Talk to you. We are going to skip our final break and go straight to the grab bag here on Main Street Sports Today. Let's start and very briefly touch on Philadelphia Union 3, Nashville Soccer Club nothing. BJ Callahan, good luck.
Yeah, from one coach Callahan to the other, and there's an equal amount of unknown, but you certainly feel a little more optimistic about the Titans version than you do about the Nashville Soccer version. That's what we
through no fault of BJ's.
Yeah, and the thing, and it's interesting too, and I've said this before, but they both play, or coach, I should say, the Titans version and Nashville Soccer. Both are high variance, and so it could lead to a situation like we've discussed where the team is potentially better, but you may not get the results. And we saw that a lot with Gary Smith, where he may blow a lead, but at least you're getting a draw. Or they may not score 2 goals, but at least you're getting a draw. And over the sustained course of the season, in soccer at least, that does have some benefit. And Callahan, it seems like, both for the Titans and for NSC, we don't know necessarily what we're going to see. There may be some weeks offensively that Nashville Soccer comes out and scores 5 goals, an absolute floodgates open type situation. But unless the defense is kind of really shored up, it looks like they're, don't be surprised if there are some weeks where they let in 2 or 3. But the thing is, when you bring him in, you give up 2 goals, it's not a death sentence. And the way Nashville has been playing and did play at times under Gary Smith, if you give up 2 goals, that's usually an automatic loss. Where at least with Callahan, it feels like the offense will have a chance to keep you in it because they're probably going to play a little more attacking. And they certainly are going to have to play a little more attacking than they have been because, another putrid effort from this weekend.
Absolutely. And it doesn't get any easier for them. They get 11 days off, I guess, before they open Leagues Cup play, but they will do so without Tyler Boyd, who tore an ACL in that loss to Orlando, that midweek loss last week. So in addition to the struggles on the scoreboard, they're a little shorthanded from a personnel standpoint. So again, lots of luck, BJ.
Yeah, and that was one of those injuries. We said that he was stretchered off, and sometimes stretchered off in soccer means a tweaked ankle and you're back in a week. But sometimes it means bad news, and unfortunately for Tyler, that was indeed bad news.
Absolutely. No bad news for Xander Schauffele, particularly in his final 9 holes yesterday at the British Open. 31 on the back 9 to win it. Strung a bunch of birdies together and just stormed to the win over Justin Rose and Billy Horschel. Was that a guy that you anticipated being around the top or being at the top when this thing ended, Wade?
Well, he's been playing some of his best golf, and we've seen him pulling some wins, and so Scotty was in the mix for just a moment over the weekend, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. But Xander has been playing outstanding, and it kind of feels like he felt like one of those classic guys a few years ago where you're like, man, we see all this potential and we just don't know if he's ever going to pull it together. But it felt like once that top finally came off, that we were going to see the best of him, and we're certainly kind of seeing the best of him now. He finished runner-up a couple years ago at the Masters, but he won the PGA earlier this year and finished third all-time best at the U.S. Open. So now he's got 2 of the 4 and in short order. And this was the other crazy stat, Mo. This was the first time since – let me triple check this. Since 1982, I believe, that an American golfer has won all 4 majors in the same year, because the Tiger Slam happened kind of on the back end, right? So he won the last 2 of 2000, I think it was, or 2001 when he did that. So you got to go all the way back to 1982 for 4 Americans to win the 4 majors in the same year.
This is his second major in the last 3. So solid performance for Schauffele.
And it was epic too. We got to spend on camera quite a bit of time with his dad, who his dad looks like he talk about bringing the juice. It looks like he was more pumped up than Xander. And they asked him about the claret jug, and he went full breakdown on him. He said, well, the claret jug, he kind of broke down the origin and started talking about the meaning of the word and the rationale. And he said, I'm not going to put beer in that thing. I'm not going to disgrace it with beer. He said, this is going to be saved for fine red wine. So Xander's dad, in many regards, was a little more pumped up than even Xander himself was, I think.
So Xander better check with his dad to figure out what the plans are for the claret jug, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, because Pops has got big plans.
They've got it. We talked about Utah State and their coaching change last week as they dismissed Blake Anderson over some off-field issues. They had a true tragedy over this weekend, though, as cornerback Andre Selden Jr. drowned at a reservoir near the school. Cliff diving Saturday afternoon, did not resurface. His body was recovered a few hours later. Began his career at Michigan and transferred to New Mexico State before following defensive coordinator and now interim head coach Nate Dreiling from New Mexico State to Utah State. Man, you hear this way too often, and it's just crushing to hear of young people, not just athletes, but just young people in general, losing their lives in mishaps like this. And you hate to hear it. And our hearts and our thoughts go out to the Utah State football community for sure, and to the family of young Mr. Selden. Just unimaginable.
Yeah, awful news. And unfortunately, we've had several of these. Southern Miss just a couple months ago had a shooting on campus, and when you put it into context with the loss of life occurring at such a young man, it just is a tough situation all the way around.
It really is. Tune back in at 2:00 tomorrow here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I promise you we will have lighter and more fun things to talk about. We hate to end up on that, but that's kind of where we are. But thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all tomorrow.